Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm bringing something a little bit different today to celebrate the day of St. Patrick's because not only is it St. Patrick's Day today for me, it's also my birthday. So I thought let's do something a little bit different. And I wanted to kind of look through Weiss cards and pick out 17 iconic green cards or combos that have been over through the years. So let's get started, shall we? The first card is a personal favourite of mine, is the 3-2 Extra from Aragiri High School. When this card is placed on stage from hand, you can draw one or choose an opponent's character and bounce it. On attack, pay one, drop two. If you have the bar in the climax area, you can choose two of your characters to get once per turn. When damage is cancelled, deal 2 damage. It stacks the effects. You can even put it on some of the back row cards that burn, so I really do like this combo. Moving swiftly on, an oldie but a goodie is a 3-2 Mikuru from the very first Haruhi Suzumiya set. The card opposite this gets -1 soul, and on play, pay an additional stock, and your opponent cannot use climax cards until the end of next turn. Can't play 'em from hand, but there are some cards that do play climax cards from deck. Yeah, this card is old, but it's still an oldie and goodie. Moving on is a card whilst is in the first fairy tale set, is also in the 100-year quest as well, as a retrain of Lucy, which is the 1/0 Aquarius. On play from hand or deck, all players take 1 damage. There used to be a deck with I think it was a 2/1 that you could pay 2 when you played the climax to search your deck for a key character and play it, which is why this is what works from deck as well. Yamashiro and Fuso, what is a green showcase without showing off the cats? If you have the non-vanilla, I can't remember who's who. I should have used the English cards. The non-vanilla card, when she comes into play, you can drop a warship to search the vanilla. She gives all your vanillas 1k and a soul, and she herself gets 1k, 3k and a soul if you have a vanilla in the front row. We all know what pesky cats can be like. Something from Clanad, which is a little bit older, but still a goodie. I don't know the name, so apologies. I just call it the Starfish Counter, which is what a lot of people will call it these days as well, if you ever encounter this effect. When this card's assist is used, all battling characters get, when they hit the waiting room, they come back to its original place rested, so it's essentially like a free encore, and it's an assist 0 power, but that's fine because you're looking for it for the effect, so you don't need the power. Something for our Uma Musume lovers in the chat and in the viewership. So on play, look at X. X equals the number of Uma Musume characters that you have on board, including itself. And on attack, if she has a marker, you discard a card, deal 1 damage to the opponent, and then look at the top 2 cards of the opponent's deck. Put any 2 back on top, the rest in waiting room. This card has killed me from like level 2 before and certainly deserves a mention, particularly with the upcoming English coming out. 3-2 Pretty. This is something, again, just a bit more personal for me because I'm sure I made this when I used to own Disgaea back in the day of when I was a little baby witch still learning to play Weiss. The 3-2 Prinny gets 1/5 power for every marker. It has the bodyguard effect, and place another Prinny from stage 2 underneath this as a marker for it to get a soul. And then you use the Prinnies at the top, who you can use as many as you want in the deck because it's all level 0. You never have to worry about colour requirement. And it says you can choose a Prinny, put it to waiting room, and choose an opponent's front row character to get -1k. It's just a lot of fun, this deck, and you could have just slotted 2 souls, slotted whatever you want in. There are other Prinny cards that you could use, but I chose these ones because these ones were my favourite. Moving swiftly on, we have the original Azusa. So English terms will probably know this as Akatsuki, but Azusa was one of the first to have this effect of discard a card, look at top 4, add a music character or traded character, and then add it to hand, and the rest go to waiting room. Great filter, great mill through the deck. Came out in Idolmaster Movie Booster. Remember trying to get my hands on this card, and then I just had to fork out the money to buy it, and for valid reasons, it is expensive. Moving on, this one was a recommendation by one of my good friends, is the 3/2 Double Homerer from the Rebellion movie. If she has a marker, she gets 8,500 power. When this card is placed on stage from hand, you can choose the 3/2 Ultimate Madoka, place it underneath her as a marker, and then play the level 0 Madoka from Waiting Room anywhere on stage. And when she reverses the battle opponent, pay 2, drop 1, send that character to clock. Ultimate Madoka is 500 for every other magic character, and on play from hand or change, we don't see that very often, draw a card, and she gets 2k for the turn. Most likely you're playing this just to use it for the ultimate, for the Devil Homer, to be fair. And then the level 0 Madoka is if you have 2 or less stock, she gets 1/5. This card is purely more flavorful than anything. The fact that she's eating God, bringing out God's little baby form. I love it. It's great. Still waiting on to see if the new movie does exist still. It will. It will. Can't talk about green cards without talking about one of the most infamous level 1 combos at the time, which is Zekan Yuki. On play, she gets X times the number of Avatar in it, including herself. Pay 1, drop 1. On attack, you search your deck for 2 Avatar on it characters, add them to hand, shuffle the deck, and she gets a level until the end of the opponent's turn. There are many cards with the name Mother's Rosario, as you can see in the top. There is a salvage split soul, the original gold bar, a choice, and a yellow stock soul. Couldn't really put any of the Asuna cards in, didn't fit. She's yellow. Moving on, we have Project Diva, not Project Sekai, Project Diva. Yes, Miku had her own booster before she had Project Sekai, for anybody new. However, we actually never got Hand in Hand Miku into English, so this is something I wanted to talk about because I remember this being a very interesting deck in the terms of we used 2 level 3 combos and just used events to gain stock. Hand in Hand Miku is a healer. You can choose a climax from your climax area and put it into the waiting room at the beginning of Encore phase to play a hand in hand from your hand into the climax slot, and then pay 1, drop 1. Activates once per turn when you play hand in hand, beginning the Encore. No, just when you play hand in hand, sorry. It doesn't have to be in the beginning of Encore phase. You can do it during climax phase. Pay 1, drop 1, deal 3 damage to your opponent. The idea is you would use the Sadistic Music Factory Miku, which is a draw 2, drop 1, and then on reverse clock kick the battle opponent. So the reason we would do that is to gain a little bit of extra damage and just to kind of manipulate things a little bit depending on your opponent's board. Very interesting style of play when it came out, and I just remember it quite vividly of being something like, oh, this is interesting, feels a bit stronger, so I do like it. Let's be honest, can't really have a list like this again without this one, without the Bang Dream 1-0 combo that's terrorizing top 8 and top 16 at the moment. During your turn, if you have another character, she gets 1/5. On attack, if you have 2 or more characters, she looks at the top 4 cards of the deck. She can either add the character to hand or send it to stock. And she gets a K for the turn. Very versatile card. I love it. I hate going against it, but I love it. Bone Daddy, as I like to call it, or the Irons package. There is a level 0 that the 3/2 changes from, however, not enough space on the board, as you can see, for me to put it. You have the 3/2 combo. When you play the gold bar, if he's in the front row, you heal 1, then choose one of the following 3 effects. You could choose 5 little goats and put them underneath him as a marker. You can send all the markers to memory and then choose a card on your opponent's board to send to the waiting room, or you can deal a damage and he gets 2k for the turn. The support when you play the gold bar gives the 3/2 Irons during your opponent's turn hexproof and cannot be reversed in battle, as well as giving your goats -1 cost. And then the goats, you can have up to 5 of these in the deck. You salvage a character, then choose one of your characters to do the K, and beginning of the Encore phase, if it's in memory, pay 1, drop 1. If you have an Irons in play, deal a damage. This is typically a 2-turn setup to do those burns, but a lot of the time you are just looking to destroy your opponent's board. And the amount of times I grab cards and then go, wait, no, doesn't matter, you have the little goats. So certainly keep an eye out on that. Restless Night event from Saikano. I wanted to mention this because it is still played in pretty much all Saikano decks that use green. Rest two of your characters, search your deck for a character, stock a character from bin, and then this goes to the bottom of the deck. Wasn't really a cost when most of the cards that you're using go to memory. They changed, so this card just gave you additional advantages in hand and stock for what felt like no cost really. 3/2 Kanata, she still threatens to dominate the board a little bit, even in today's meta. She is a TD card from the original Hololive Trial decks. On play, heal, climax combo. Beginning of the attack phase, if you have 4 or more other characters, choose 2 Hololive characters in your waiting room. Put any 2 to hand, and then the remainder in stock. So you can do a 1 and a 1, or you could put none in hand, all in stock. This card gave you resources for days. And then the 2/1 counter changes into the Kanata when you play the stock soul. The original 3/2 Mocha on attack, if you have That's How I Roll, you look at the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, any on top, any in the waiting room. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, any on top, any in the waiting room, and then beginning of Encore phase heal. This was because Afterglow tend to use the alarm effect back in the day of Girls Band Cry Volume 1. This is showing how old this card is, but how prominent this effect is still becoming even as we move further into 2026 and beyond. And then this is another recommendation from a friend of mine. He loves Yotsuba. Yotsuba is his waifu for Quinn, so I have to show it for him. Pay 2, drop 1. At the end of this card's attack, you mill the bottom 5 cards of your opponent's deck and deal X damage, where X equals the number of climaxes among those cards, and she gets a K until the end of your opponent's next turn. Then when you play her gold bar, if she's in memory and you're level 3 and above, play her anywhere in the front row for free. Love this card. It's a little bit of extra damage manipulation at the end of the attack. I always thought it was on attack, so that's my bad. Or I've got the wrong translation. Again, could I have used the English card? Yeah, but this is my slideshow, and I'm going to make it how I want to. And plus, I used the card pool I used to grab the cards from. I just used the Japanese ones. But that's everything. That is 17 green combos and cards I wanted to show you guys today. If you fancy leaving the witch a little present, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to subscribe. And always remember, guys, they'll cancel eventually. For anyone attending Manchester this weekend, or Philadelphia, I think it is, good luck, guys. And at the time of this recording, I hope everything has gone well for you if you're watching it afterwards. But speak to you guys soon, and remember to click the Discord button below to come and join the tea party. Bye, guys.